All right, good afternoon, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Just a few more people coming in. All right, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Riali Vasquez with Component Control. And this afternoon I'm going to be talking about improving communication and workflow management using the Contact Manager module. A little bit about myself. I've been with Component Control since 2007. I've been delivering on-site services since 2010 as an implementation manager. So spending all of my time on-site, delivering projects, on-site reporting, on-site services as needed. Most of my career has been in the aviation business. Previous to working with Component Control, I was working with Rockwell Collins in their in-flight entertainment division. So that's a little bit about where I come from. So let's move forward. In this session, we're going to be talking about the features and options available in the Contact Manager. Okay, taking a look at all of the different fields that are available to us and all of the different options that we can take advantage of to keep track of what's going on in our business. And with those, we're going to identify tools and methods for improving communication. Okay. Eliminating those situations where nobody knows what's going on, who's called this customer back, who is responsible for dealing with this particular project or this particular order. So those are going to be some of the things that we're seeing, or that we will see today. And then we're going to also talk about ways of using Contact Manager to manage our workflows. Again, who's responsible for contacting a particular customer on a particular order? Who is that order assigned to? So what is the Contact Manager module? Quantum's Contact Manager module is our customer relationship management module, okay, CRM. And it's meant to serve as a centralized place where we can collect all information about all of our orders. Something that you'll see is that Quantum's Contact Manager can be integrated with all modules in Quantum. So we can have that contact be everywhere that you need it to be as a place to record all of the different communication that might take place at any step in our order process. So here we go. All right, starting out, as I said, Contact Manager is fully integrated. Okay, every single module can link to our contact, and we can do that manually, or we can have the system do it automatically for us. And again, by having it integrated with every single module in Quantum, it gives us that place to record our communication, and we make it simple and easy to do. So what are some of the features of Contact Manager? Okay, so here we go. All of these things are things that the Contact Manager can do on its own. Starting at the top there, we have email integration. As you create emails or receive emails, all of that information can be recorded in the Contact Manager module. Simply dragging and dropping the email makes it easy to record all of the information in that. Not just the header information, but also the content of the email. And we can do that without having to copy and paste. Like I said, it's a drag and drop function. External documentation. Many of us use the document imaging module, but beyond the timestamp that's attached to the document image as it's added into the document imaging module, who received that document, all right? What time was it received? Who did we receive it from? All of that is information that can easily be captured in the Contact Management module. Customer interaction, okay, again, recording our communications with our customers, okay? Each and every communication that we make, a phone call, a fax, an email, all of that information can be recorded, and so you have a history of what's going on with our order. Not just the key points of whether a quote was sent, but also what was said in that conversation. What happens when you're out? When you're out for a day and somebody wants to know what's going on with an order, okay, that you are handling. Contact Manager gives us that place to store that information, so when the customer calls back and says, hey, Ryan said this, you have that information, even though Ryan might not be there. Queue management. Queue management is a tool that we're going to take a look at in Quantum in Contact Manager. And basically it gives us a method of organizing our work and being able to see what is the work that's assigned to me to work on today, okay? Instead of having to look at reports, we have a queue that we can search for, we can see status information on it, all of these different details about the work that's assigned to me, okay? And then as a manager, you can see what work is assigned to everybody. Project management. As a tool, Contact Manager can be used to manage projects as well as your day-to-day work, okay? Within a contact, we can record all of the different steps that have occurred in a project. We can also assign tasks using an Outlook integration, okay? If we need a particular task to be performed by somebody, we can put that information right on a user's calendar directly from the Contact Manager, okay? And that's in their Outlook calendar, so think about the capabilities of that. If we have a task on somebody's calendar, you know, it's gonna send them that notification right to their phone, and we can do that right from within Contact Manager. Work assignment. I talked a little bit about queue management, okay? And so, again, what's the work that's assigned to me? What do I need to work on today? And with Contact Manager, I can open up the contact management window and see all the work that's assigned to me, okay, that has my name attached to it and that I'm responsible for. There is no question about it. Knowledge database. Contact Manager allows you to search through all of your previous contacts. So as we record information about the work that we do, we can record certain keywords or certain pieces of information and then search for that information later on. So Contact Manager becomes a knowledge database for us. Essentially Google for your business. So for those of us that have seen tech support and the way we work, you know, this is how we use Contact Manager as a knowledge database where we can search for all the various errors that occur, and at any time we can pull that information out of the database. Configurable reporting. Contact Manager ties all of the different modules together, and because it's tied to all of these different modules, it enables a lot more reporting functionality, and it connects to all of those different modules and allows us to bring that information together. So if you think about a typical sales order or sales process, you have a quote, a sales order, a shipping order, and then an invoice, and each step in that process, you're going to have communication. And so let's say that, you know, the typical order has 5 pieces of communication. Well, did that communication actually take place? And that's something we can report on. If we did not meet that minimum level of communication, maybe we're not providing the best level of customer service. So Contact Manager gives us not just the ability to record that communication, but also provide reporting around it, all with the goal of providing good customer service. Event-driven record creation. We have the ability to manually add contacts. So that might be something such as, you know, a tech support issue is recorded, or a customer is called in with a particular issue around an order. We can manually add that contact. But we can also drive the creation of the contact using the Event Manager module. So for example, accounts receivable past due notifications. Rather than having to read a report and analyze that report for receivables that are past due, the system can do that activity for us and automatically create the contacts as accounts go past due. And those contacts are then assigned to somebody who then they can look at their queue, and there's that list of people to call back. And then as they call them back, of course, record that communication and what was said. Record linking, okay? As I said earlier, Quantum Contact Manager is fully integrated with all modules in Quantum. And so we can tie a contact to anything. So think about the possibility of having this one place that has your sales order linked to it, the quote, the purchase order, shipping order, all of these related orders linked to one central place to record all of our communication around that order, okay? So we might have a different person doing purchase orders. The vendor calls in and says, hey, the order is going to be late a week. Well, you record that communication in the contact, but then there's the question of, did anybody convey that to the customer? And so Contact Manager becomes that place that we can record that information at. And not only is that contact linked to the purchase order, but also to the sales order. We know exactly what sales orders are involved, and then we have the place to record whether or not the communication took place. Another feature or another way of using Contact Manager is for lead tracking. I talked a little bit about queue management. So a queue might represent work that needs to be performed, but it can also be used to represent people that we need to call back for sales leads, for example. So as we get a new incoming RFQ, we can add a contact for that, and then that provides us a record of when did we follow up, when is our next follow-up, okay? And those are dates that we can set and record in the system. So now that we have an idea of what it can do, let's take a look at how Contact Manager works. We start out by adding a new contact to record our communications. So as we manually add a contact, this is the screen that you start out on, okay? And as you can see, we have a few key details recorded in here. Who is the person that we're talking to? What's their contact information? And then also, we can record additional information. Why do we need to communicate with them? In this case, I've marked it as being an incoming customer RFQ. And then we can continue on to control other aspects of this contact. Who is this contact assigned to? Who's going to be responsible for following up with this customer? So here I have this assigned to field, and I can choose any user in my system that's set up for the Contact Manager module. Contact type. What type of communication is this contact created for? Okay, so let's say we have this set up for a sales department. Maybe it's an incoming RFQ, maybe a customer has a problem with an existing order, maybe a customer has a problem with an order that we sold them 6 months ago. Okay, so what type of contact is this? And these fields that we set on here, these are all reportable fields. So if we have a history of communication and a history of contacts, now we can begin to collect statistics around the communications that take place. Okay, we have statistics around the orders that we make, but how about statistics around the communication? We know the customer called us, but why did he call us? Okay, and that's what this module allows us to do. Contact priority, okay? What do we need to follow up on today, tomorrow, or can we wait a week? What action has been performed? Does this contact represent a call, an email coming in, okay, a problem? Are we expecting a fax to be made out of this system? Okay. Another thing that we can record here along with the detail type. Okay, and all of these fields are completely customizable. You get to set them up for your business. Okay, think about the differences between a sales department and an accounting department. This module will integrate with both types of departments, but these fields and the information that you're going to want to track is completely different for those two departments. So again, you can completely customize all of these different fields for the department that's using it and for the information that we want to track. Automated contact creation. So what I just showed you is what we would go through to manually add a contact, okay? But the system can also automatically create contacts for us. So as we create a customer quote in the system, Event Manager can see the new customer quote, automatically create the contact for us and link it to that quote. Some companies, though, you get so many quotes in a given day that we don't necessarily want to record that communication at the quote stage. But now that we have a purchase order from the customer, now is when the real communication begins. So the other thing we can do is we can automatically create that contact based on a sales order. As we add the new sales order or as we roll a quote into a sales order, again, the system sees that, creates the contact. Repair orders, repair management tracking. okay? We send parts out to the vendor, and sometimes it's going to take 6 months to get it back. How do we follow up on that? We have reports around that, but we can also use this module to track all of the different repair orders that we have sent out, and then also the communication around that, okay? Depending on the type of repairs that we're doing, there might be defects that need to be communicated, multiple quotes involved, as we determine what work needs to be done and how much we're going to pay for it. So all of that communication can be recorded, and we can have a full history about what was said in negotiating with a customer or vendor. Accounting, okay? Accounts receivable past due is probably the biggest thing that we can do for accounting. When you're doing collections, you analyze your past due report and you look for all of those accounts receivable that have gone past due, and those are the people that you call. But Quantum can do that analysis for you and create a queue of all of the people or all of the companies that have gone past due, and all you need to do is look at that queue, and those are the people that you need to call back, okay? Because their accounts have gone past due. And the system will create those contacts for you automatically, okay, filling that queue for you. You don't have to go look anymore at your past due notifications, because the system will tell you and prompt you to call that customer as soon as the account goes past due. The other thing we can do is through the customer portal, okay? Some of us have the portal set up and have granted customers access to that portal. And so this becomes a method of allowing 24-hour customer access. The customer can log into the portal and submit their own issue requests, okay, for a call back. They add a contact, you look the next day, and it's in your queue saying, hey, you need to call this customer back because they've requested a call back. So that's a nice thing, because that portal is up 24 hours a day, okay? You don't have to worry about it when you're sleeping, or maybe your customer's on the other side of the earth, okay? They're still able to put in that request. So again, automated contact creation. The system can create the contacts for us without any interaction from any users. Yes? Yes, exactly. Yep. So for those of us, that don't know, we're using Contact Manager in tech support to manage all of your support requests. So as you put in a request, we're adding that into Contact Manager, and you're able to do that right from our website as well, which then drives contacts into Quantum. Once the contact is created, this is the screen that you're going to see, okay? And you're going to have one of these screens for each communication or each contact that we have set up tied to an order, okay? And on this screen, we're going to see a lot of different details here. First off, once we have the contact created, we can add notes, okay? We can add additional contacts. Every time we talk to the customer, we add a new contact, okay? Recording the details of that communication. What was said? What were the what was the discussion about? Okay, were there any issues related to it? We know we sent the customer a quote, but did the customer have any specific questions about that quote? Here's the place that we can record that information, such that I put in the information today and I'm out tomorrow. It's not a big deal, because anybody can go back and look and see the notes that I've recorded about this particular order. Okay, email. Okay, as we email customers, all right, we can record those emails in the system. And of course, we can copy and paste, but we've simplified that process and made it quicker. We can drag and drop emails directly out of Outlook into Quantum. Okay, and as we do that, it records the details of that email into the contact. Okay, capturing the header information as well as the contact, or the body of the email. Also, email history is automatically recorded for emails. So as we go to send an email from Contact Manager, we hit the send email button, up pops an Outlook email window, we type out the email to the customer, and when we hit send, not only does it send the email, but it also copies that email, right it back into Quantum. So it automatically records those details. How can we improve communication with Contact Manager? All right. Oops. All right, so as I said, here's the contact screen, okay, and what you'll see when we go to create a contact. But as you record information, here's what you're going to see. On the left, you're going to have a history of every time you've communicated with that customer, whether it was a call, whether it was an email. Okay, you're going to have timestamps on those recorded communications. Maybe the customer talked with a different user, so you're going to have the user stamps here. And then on the right-hand side, you have a full history of all of that communication. So you can take a look and see all of those historical notes about what's happened and what's been communicated. As we record information into the contact, okay, not just the notes about the communication, but we can also record things like status changes, okay, reassignments and field changes. Status, think about need to call is a common status that we use. How do you know who you're going to call next, or the issues that we need to follow up on immediately? Okay, we can change the status on that contact, and if we're looking at our queue, those statuses can stick out, and we know exactly who we need to call back. And we'll have the full history on those changes, okay? What was the old status? What was the new status? Who made the change, and when was that change made? Okay, all of that information is recorded. Okay, emails in and out of Quantum. We have an email history section. So I talked about how we can easily record emails in and out of Quantum. And as we do that, the system keeps a history of that communication, putting in timestamps, user information, and then recording all the details about who we sent the email to or received it from. All orders linked and tracked. As I've said several times now, Contact Manager links with every single module in Quantum. And so here's the adding links screen. Okay, we can manually add links to almost anything, okay? But the system can also automatically add these links for us. So think about, we create a customer quote, we roll it to a sales order, a purchase order is created before we ship the parts. So all of those orders can automatically be linked to a single contact, okay? And just different ways of doing it. Some companies will take advantage of the automatic linking, others will manually link as needed. And it's just a matter of coming up with a process that meets your business needs. How does this help my company? Well, Contact Manager gives us a place to record all of our communications in one place. There is no question of what was said or that he said, she said situation. That goes away, all right? There is no more miscommunication about whether or not somebody called a customer back or not. You record that information in the contact, and at any point, anybody in your company can look at that contact and see the history of that communication. It increases the capability of tracking accountability. Okay, we've talked about the ability to assign contacts to individuals. We've talked a little bit about queue management and the ability to see all of the work that's assigned to you. So there is no question now about who's responsible. You can look at the queue and see who the different work is assigned to. Okay, and that's the person that is who's responsible for it. And if we need to change who that's assigned to, we can do that. We reassign it, and the system keeps track of that history. Okay, there is no question about who the work is assigned to and whether or not the communication has taken place, because we have it recorded. And the whole idea with this module, or the end result of using this module, is that you're able to provide a higher level of customer service. And when a customer calls and asks a question and wants to know what's going on with his order, there is no putting them on hold or telling them that we'll call you back. You can look that information up immediately, and that increases the level of customer service that you're able to provide. if you can get that answer immediately while the customer is still on the phone. All right, how can Contact Manager help to better manage workflow within my company? So we've taken a look so far at how Contact Manager works, what are some of the fields that we have available to us, and the tools that are there within the module. So let's take a look at how it can be used. So first off, workflow management defined, okay? The automation of a business process during which documents, information, or tasks are passed from one participant to another for action according to a set of procedural rules. So these are our processes. And Contact Manager gives us the place to record when those processes have taken place, who performed that process, and the communication around that. So commonly supported workflows. Okay, contract management, repair management, lead tracking for sales, okay, work assignment, accounts receivable, account management, quality assurance, centralized knowledge database. Okay, so these are some of the key processes that we can use with this module, okay, to track all of that communication. And I haven't really shown it, but we can create different contact masters for each of these different departments. So if you have all of these departments in your business, we can set up Contact Manager differently for each individual department. So the setup that we have for accounts receivable department might be completely different from the setup that we have set up for sales within the same Contact Manager module. So there's different ways that we can use this module. And what I'm going to take a look at now is to focus on repair management and look at how we might use this module to record details about our repairs. So, workflow example for repair management. What I'm showing here is the typical repair process. We have a quote from the customer, then we launch a sales order, and before we can ship the parts to the sales order, we have to generate a repair order to overhaul the parts first prior to shipping. Okay? And the workflow is what takes place between all of these different orders and the communication that takes place in that workflow. And again, Contact Manager gives us the place to record all of that communication. So, at the very beginning, we have a quote, okay? RFQ comes in, we record the RFQ, and we get a quote back to the customer, okay? The quote has been sent. Has anybody followed up with the customer to see if they like the quote? Is there any issues with it? Do they have any questions, okay? That question goes away because we can look at the contact and see for ourselves that yes, John in sales did in fact follow up with the customer. Here's what was said, here's the questions that the customer had, and here's how we responded to it. We quote the customer, and the customer sends us a purchase order back, and we turn it into a sales order, okay? And at that point, we set up the repair order, we generate an order acknowledgement, okay? Who is responsible for follow-up on this order? Maybe we have only one salesperson or one sales coordinator, in which case it's easy, but maybe we have many people managing that. So, who's the sales order assigned to? Who's responsible for following up with the customer? So, Contact Manager gives us a place where we can link the contact to the sales order, and that contact would then be assigned to a particular individual. That's the person who's responsible for following up with the customer. And of course, then we're able to go in and see whether or not they did that follow-up and what was said. Once the repair order is created and the parts are shipped, okay, the vendor will generate a repair quote and communicates that back to us. And then, there might be a back and forth depending on the type of parts that we're repairing, and maybe there's some discrepancies that are involved, and now for the discrepancies we need to re-quote, okay? And there's a little bit of a back and forth that takes place. Did we approve the discrepancies, the quote on the discrepancies? What were the discrepancies? Again, this is all communication that can be recorded within the contact, okay? that information doesn't get lost. It's not in somebody's email box who doesn't happen to be there that day. It's right in the contact that anybody in the company can see, or at least anybody in that department. And then last, at the very end of the process, we generate our invoice, we ship the parts to the customer, and we notify the customer of delivery. Okay? Now, Event Manager itself can handle the notification of delivery and the tracking number and everything, but are there any issues related with the order? Okay, is there anything outstanding? Maybe we need to communicate more information to the customer. Maybe there's an issue with the paperwork that we need to resolve. So again, these are the things that come up, and we don't want to drop the ball, or we don't want to lose sight of whether or not that information has been communicated to our customer or back and forth from our vendor. So Contact Manager becomes the place to record all of that information, and there is no question about it anymore. We can see that communication. So the last thing I want to talk about here is queue management. So this is the Manage Contacts screen. I've talked a little bit about how we can create these contacts and they can be assigned to different people. Okay, the system can automatically create these contacts and assign them out based on various pieces of information. But here's the screen that you can go to see all of the contacts that are assigned to you and that are open. Okay, you can see up at the top we have various we have the queue assigned work here, showing us all the work assigned to us. Up at the top, we have all of our search options. I can search for what's assigned to me or assigned to somebody else. I can filter it by various linked data. So is it linked to a part number? Is it linked to a quote? Okay, maybe I want a reference number. Okay, all of these are key pieces of information that we can search for after it's been recorded in the contact. So you can bring up that individual contact, or like I said, you can see your entire queue, what work is assigned to me. And then over on the right-hand side, we have details and links. So the details are the information, the communication that's been recorded within the contact. So here I'm looking at a queue of all the work that I have assigned to me, and I can go through that list, and on the right-hand side there, see all of the historical communication with the latest communication right there at the top. So I can quickly look through and see, what have I not followed up with recently, and then respond to it. And then also at the bottom there are the links. As I'm going through my queue, I can see all of the different orders that are linked to that contact. So the benefits of using Contact Manager to manage workflows. You have a current up-to-date list of work assigned. That's your queue. At any point you can go in and see all of the work that's assigned to you or assigned to an individual employee. And for the employee, they have visibility of that workload. There is no question of, what do I need to do next, or who do I need to follow up with, or who's important to follow up with. All of that information is there, and we can manipulate it however we need and see that history. Statusing of work. Again, we're looking at a queue of all this work that's been assigned. How do we figure out what do we need to follow up on? So we can status work, we can put in statuses such as need to call, on hold, waiting for follow-up, whatever we want to set up, and then we assign those statuses and we can track our communications that way. And then also date tracking. Follow-up dates is the big one. On each individual contact, we can set a follow-up date, and then we can filter for that follow-up date. So I might have a large body of work to follow up on, but if I'm setting this follow-up date, I can filter on that and see just the stuff that I need to follow up on today or follow up on in the next week. We also have a last update field. So as I record my communications, it's recording the timestamp for that communication, and I can filter on that update. Show me all the contacts that have not had an update in 5 days or 10 days. Okay, I can search for that, and there's that short list of people I need to call back. So key points to take home. Contact Manager offers us a centralized place for all communication. Again, it provides us the answer to eliminate all of those issues of he said, she said, what happens when the person is not there that day, okay, and somebody's asking a question about work that they did. We record all of that communication in one place, and that communication is now visible to everybody in the company. And the whole idea is to eliminate miscommunication, okay? Workflow queue management, okay? Again, answering the question of what work is assigned to me, what do I need to work on today? Rather than having to run a report and analyze it to find work to do, we have a queue. The system can assign work into that queue automatically for you, and now I just look at that queue and work out of that queue. Following up on stuff, recording my communications, and as I finish work or as orders are shipped, I status it and close the contact, and it drops out of the queue. Integrated with all modules in Quantum. Every single module that you work with in Quantum can be tied to a contact in several different ways. And again, providing that easy, accessible place to quickly record your communication. We see the contact information for a customer in the header of the order, but where do we record what was said to that customer? We have the notes field, but we might be using those header notes or item notes for different things specific to the order. So now, where do we record that communication? So that's what Contact Manager provides, and we can do that for every module in Quantum, pretty much every department in the business. And we can do that with automation. We can manually add contacts, but we can let the system do that for us. Again, rather than having to analyze a report and find work to do, the system can identify that work and automatically create contacts and assign them out. So I'm talking specifically about accounts receivable. Okay, as things go past due, the system can automatically recognize that and assign work. And the whole goal of this module is it provides you a tool for elevating the level of customer service that your company provides. And today, customer service is one of the distinctions that we can easily make, or that we have control over to make in discriminating ourselves between all of the different competition out there. Thank you very much. Is there any questions about the Contact Manager module? It can only create new ones. So the automation is, go ahead, if you want to repeat your question.
Yeah, is that working?
Okay, so the question was about whether or not the automation can automatically add items into an existing contact. And the answer is no. The automation is focused on the creation of the contact. So really the only automation to add things into the contact automatically is the email integration.
Okay, my next question was clarification of when you link records. Let's say you have a contact which is linked to an invoice as well as a repair order. Maybe that example, but if I add contact into, what it does is it allows you to see the contact from within those two records, right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, I forgot about that. The other question I had was, I know when you assign contact, there's a difference if you assign a contact to a person, but you also assign a task to a person, right?
Yes.
So you could have a contact that's owned by someone, and within that contact, the tasks could be owned by 5 people.
Yes.
That's right?
Yes, so you can have one contact, but then many, many different tasks, and each one of those tasks can be assigned to 2 different people, yet all tied to one contact, which is assigned to one person.
So then, along the same lines then, if you have a contact which is restricted in who can view it, can you still add tasks to a person who actually can't see the entire contact?
Yes, yes you can.
And so they'll see the task in their queue, but they won't see the other tasks unless they're assigned to them?
Yeah, to the contact master. So the contact master is where you set up all the different departments that you're using Contact Manager with. And with that contact master, you assign people to it. So for example, might have an accounting contact master set up, and you're only going to assign the accounting department. But you might need somebody to follow up with somebody else on that, and so you can create the task, and everybody can see that task, but only the people assigned to that contact master can actually see the contact master and the contacts associated with it.
Okay. The last question I have is, I don't remember how this works. Maybe there was a contact that started out being assigned to me, and then it was assigned to someone else, but I worked on it. The way I would find that then is through the task list, not necessarily the contact list.
You don't have to use tasks. So once you've created a contact, you can then create additional tasks assigned to that contact. Okay? So you can have a contact without tasks.
Well, what if I owned a contact and I passed it on to someone else? Let's say I had a contact that was about let's say it's a new engineering project. So I started with it, and then I transferred the entire contact to be owned by you for the follow-up step. But maybe someone asks me, you worked on some project, whatever. Can I find that contact again using a history browser or something to show that at one time I did own it, but I no longer do?
Yes, yeah, you can search through the history, okay, from that search contact window. The other thing that you can do is we allow for 2 users to be assigned to each individual contact. So there's the primary assignee, but also a secondary assignee. So you assign that to the other person, but you still leave yourself as the secondary assignee. So it'll still show up in your queue because you're the secondary assignee.
Right, that's it, thanks. It's a great module.
Yes.
Okay, if you've got a contact, and you email out it, and customer emails back,
Yes.
and then you want to reply to that email, is there any way to get the reply?
To come back.
Just do a reply or forward?
You can do the reply, okay, right in Outlook. The only problem is that is only going to be recorded in your sent box. But now that it's in your sent box, you can grab that email, drag it and drop it, and it'll copy it over.
Okay.
But it's not automatically, going to copy that response back.
Okay.
Because there's nothing in Outlook that says, this was a quantum generated email.
Right.
So without that, there would be no way to flag it for recording back. You have to do that manually.
Okay, that's what I thought. And also, on your list of everything you can link it to,
Yes.
I didn't see where you just link it to just a customer.
So let's see here. So contact. So you're talking about like a company record?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have. Well, yes. Yes, so that is true. There is yes. So as you create contacts that are linked to all of the different orders, if you're looking at the company management module, there is a contact browse that will show you all of the contacts created for that company. So I can't necessarily create a contact tied to a company record, but if I create the contact for, let's say, an accounts receivable, that company is going to be tied to it, and I can see that right from the company management browse window.
Okay, but like if you're working with a customer, you haven't actually like quoted them or something, you're working on maybe a contract or something, so you haven't actually sent anything through Quantum to them, but you want this information in there.
Yeah, I mean, the contact itself does not have to be linked to an order. So you can create a contact, just a standalone contact, not tied to any orders in the system, And that contact is created for a specific company and would be tied to that company.
Okay.
So, and again, it would still show up in the contact browse in the company management window.
Hi.
Hi.
Regarding email, when you're dragging the email into contact management, what about the attachment? Would those be stored into contact management?
No, it's not. It's not copying the attachments. It's really just copying the text that's in that email.
Okay, so staff would still need to search that email to hunt down what they have sent.
Either that or go manually attach it into document imaging. The attachment, at least. Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, mine has to do with changing the status of, let's say, a customer escalation situation, where somebody takes a call, realizes this is getting escalated. You know, what do they do in order to set that status? And is there a way that it will automatically escalate and notify the appropriate management, so that you don't rely on them to manually call in because they may get sidetracked and now I meant to call you, let you know that we've got to do something.
Yeah, so with our statuses, off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure if we have the status alert, but we can definitely build it because we have similar functionality in Event Manager. So if it's not there already, we can build it. And so yeah, you have those statuses that are assigned to those contacts, and yeah, we can set certain statuses that are then triggered by Event Manager to send that email out to management.
Okay, one more. You might have addressed this, and I apologize if you did, but you know, most of my customers at this point in time, you know, they got their contacts that are synced to exchange contacts. If somebody changes some information in the CRM of Quantum, I mean, do they need to know now, need to go and do that with Exchange? How do you address the synchronization of, you know, contact information, you know, from typical to Salesforce.com or whatever it may be, you know, that people are used to using?
Yeah, that's a good question. It doesn't sync right now. Unfortunately, you would have to manually do that. I will say that going forward, Quantum is slowly integrating more tightly with things like Windows Active Directory authentication, and I think, you know, that follows naturally into getting better integration with Outlook. So while we don't do that now, it's definitely something we can do in the future.
All right, maybe one more for the future. A lot of phone systems now are integrating with CRMs and things like that. So when somebody calls, they automatically, the record shows up, the last list of orders come up, whatever, that stuff. Are there any plans for that?
I've been asked that before, and I have created a tracker for that. Unfortunately, the development was not funded, but I have been asked that before. Basically, asked, you know, can we put a button, you know, in Quantum where you can essentially, you know, that will dial your phone for you. The only issue that I see with that is that there's so many different phone systems out there. So the question is there a common API that we can use to integrate with many different applications? You know, that's the real difficulty with setting up something like that, is just the variety of phone software out there.
It's kind of hard to see from back here. Is the bottom right one actually a link to another contact record on that screen?
Bottom right one. This one here? Or
No, up above the OK button, the very last video button.
oh, right here? Yes, that's exactly what that is.
So now you could link multiple contact records back to a main contact, like for project management purposes.
Yes, exactly. So you can have multiple contacts open and you can link them all together for all the different things.
We're on the Outlook drag and drop. Have you guys had any discussions about whether to have a checkbox that would say, do you want to drag just the last message or the entire conversation? So that kind of focus on our end, because if you drag that in, it brings a trail of 20 emails, and you really just want the last to respond.
That's a good question. I haven't looked at the details of the MAPI integration, so I would have to look at that, at whether there's that flag in the email that's transferred. So if there is, I'm sure it's something that we can do. I'm just not sure on the technical details on that, of whether it's possible or not. But yeah, that is a good point. It will drag all of the email communication. So if you have, a string of 20 replies, all of that will get copied over, at least right now. Any questions? Sally, did you have another question?
Well, does it link to work order quote so that you can create a contact if, for instance, your vendor quotes the date that expired and you need to re-quote the customer or something added?
Good question. On this particular screen, no. You can see that all I have here is the work order function. That being said, I have set this up to automatically link the quotes. So it's possible, but on this screen it doesn't. So yes and no. It just depends on how we're going to use the contact manager. So yes, we can link it, but it's happening in the background, not so much through the interface. Through the interface, we would just directly link to the work order. So I'm doing it on stored procedures in the background. So yes, exactly. So I'm writing code that links all of those contacts together as we create them and triggering it with Event Manager. Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I think that's it. So let me just come here to the end. All right, thank you very much, everybody. If there's any questions that remain about this module, my contact information is here. I spend most of my time on site with our customers, so email is the best way to communicate with me. But as I said, if you have any questions about the contact manager module or how it might be used in your business, please contact me. Thank you very much.